and for desktop 700 and above. So for mobile phone less than 600, I can have different media queries. Listen, what will happen to 300, 380 till 400? So what is happening to 480? What is happening if I have a screen size of 980? Can you make sense? For different screen size, how the content needs to adjust. I don't want to do anything with my HTML element. Only thing is I'll be working on my CSS property. So 0 to 400, 400 to 800, this property, 799, 800 to above, and it will take this property. So we have one more example. So listen. Response demo 2.html. Five. So let's use example course 1. What is multi-cursor property? R. What is a property? How to access multi-cursor property?
Control Alt down.
Alt R.
Shift L.
Control Alt
Down arrow.
Control Shift L. I think.
Yes. Control Alt down arrow will select everything. So let me give course details 1. Just making it as 2, 3, 4, 5. And then this div, let me add one heading, 1 and then 1 paragraph. Let's test resizing of screen. Giving ID property as main. Here, let me give wrapper. What is the use of ID? Why we are using ID?
Because we are going to use a hash.
CSS ID property. You can define CSS with hash, prefixed with hash. Left sidebar. menu list. And let me use Control Alt down arrow mark. Class is equal to menu item. So let us define all CSS style. I want wrapper for my container.
It should be
I'm
hash.
sorry, I should use hash. Thank you. And I need to use hash left sidebar. I need to use menu list, how it needs to appear. And I need to use menu item, how it needs to appear. And then for main, just a CSS. And yes, of course, I want to apply media query. What should be for my media? Or what can I take? The maximum, minimum width of, let's assume 680.
And it's in curly braces.
Let me put it for 1080. So 680 and above, how it needs to appear. 1080 and above, how it needs to appear. So I have a container div and inside I have a child tag div with different menu item. So you can have wrapper property as none. What do you mean by this wrapper property? Making not to overflow. What is this overflow property? I want answer from you. Check and answer me. Refer and then answer me what this overflow will do. And what is this none? Always my menu bar should come in left side. I want to make float left now. So I am making all my list to appear in. I'm going to give margin of 4 pixels for all my menu item, which is enclosed inside my div. And none of the data in my outer div needs to overflow. What do you mean by the property overflow?
If it comes out of like it shouldn't come out of the box which we added.
Plot of the element with the specific height.
Irrespective of how much amount of content
That can fit it.
it should be fit on my screen size. It should not go, what to say that, out of the screen and some content gets truncated. What can I do for this left sidebar?
You can use float.
Correct. I should use float only.
And float like
Or let it be. We will modify for media screen. My biggest confusion is what should happen for 680 and above screen size and what should happen for 480. Here you can keep float left or right. So as of now, I'm not applying any float. and width also, it should be auto based on my. I'm not gonna to apply anything to my menu item, but I will apply.
Even if we not specify float equals to none in line number 14,
Ah,
it will not get floated, right?
right.
And then why we are
Because
specifying it?
I want to show you, as of now, it is none, float is nothing. But when it comes to screen size of 1080, I want to float it to right side. You got my
Okay,
point.
ma'am.
So in
Yes,
order to
ma'am.
make the change, I added that property. Border 2 pixel solid border. Okay, red color. Do I want to keep radius? Okay, I'm keeping the radius as some 3 pixel. Everywhere margin as 5 pixel. And the data has to pad to some 2 pixel. One second, I'll check. I don't want this dot. See, it's a list. So by default, it is unordered list. I don't want this black dot.
List type equals to none.
Style.
Very good. List style type is equal to
None.
none. Okay, let me fit into this. All right. I'm not overflowing the content. No float. Width is gonna to adjust accordingly to my div, inner div. And I'm gonna to apply some style for my all my list. And this should have margin of some 4 pixel. Okay, or let it be 14 pixel. So let us view for different screen size. I have not applied any style. So what will happen to 400? What will happen to 300? Due to viewport, the content gets adjusted accordingly. But I have developed this application, but I want to place the content depend upon the screen size. You can apply your media query. So I have created 2 media query. One is 680 and above, 680 to 1080, 1080 and above. So less than 680, all these default will be applied. Shall we change any property of this media query? And let's see. So requesting all of you to pay attention. So if it is 680 and above, I want let me give some width. For example, 150 pixel. 1 second, I'll test the same. So if I open the web page in a screen size of 680 and above. By default, my left side float bar should be float on left and it should take width of 150 pixel. All right. Please pay attention, guys. If it is 1080 pixel, just to differentiate, I am making it should float on right side and it took width of some 450 pixel. Shall we see the difference? Guys,
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
are you with me?
Yeah.
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
That no, this list will get aligned. By default, no float. Float has been applied with none, property with none value. Whereas 680 and above, it will be floated left. 1080 will be right. We will check the same. So let me give 690 and above. Can you see the difference? Where it has
Yes,
been
ma'am.
arranged, it has been floated to left. So since it has been floated to left, the other content has been appended. Can I modify it as 1090? Can you see the difference? So this is the use of media query. And what will happen to 400? It will take the default viewport property. So I have applied 680 and above. If I give 690 floated to left side, 1090 floated to right side. I'm talking about only the inner div, the list. Shall we modify the property of this paragraph?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So this paragraph is taking the ID of CSS main. So let me give some. So when I give 680 screen size and above, what I can give. So let me make it as it should go to margin
Left.
left of 250 pixel. $400. Same thing as 800. It will go to this margin of whatever the pixel I have applied from left. See, the idea behind is we are applying the media query to change the appearance of my HTML element to fit on to my different screen size. Is that clear? Shall we go to next? Let me show you the property different. Do we have breakpoint? No. Responsive. Please look into this demo. By default, whenever if you are using mobile devices, all the column size should be separated. I mean, it has to be subtracted with the width of whatever the percentage we are providing. Based on that, columns width will be subtracted. Media only screen and minimum with 600 and above. Whenever if you have 600 and above, probably for tablet, the first column in my HTML will be subtracted with the width 8.33. And if you take the second column, it will be taking 16, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, likewise. So they have provided some 12 columns. So if it is minimum 768 and above, so probably for desktop, each column has been applied with respective width percentage, which will be fit onto your screen. I'll show you the output. We will. One second. 400, 680 and above. So just have this look on this example. I just took from different screen size. I've taken this example from online, requesting all of you to take the core concept of this media query alone. So by default, I have a CSS property of different columns from column 1 to 12. It is taking the provided width. Can you see? By default, when I load this web page for desktop device, my first column will take the width of 8.33. And second column, third column, fourth, fifth, all based on the percentage it has been provided, the width will be adjusted and it will be fit onto my screen. So whereas if I open my web page in screen size of having 768 and above, below 768 and below, that is particularly for your mobile devices, by default, all the columns will take width of what size? 100%. So this is media query with breakpoints. So whatever the class I have provided with column minus all the columns from 1 to 12, it will be taken by default with 100%. Guys, I'll repeat again. So by default for all the devices 768 and above, it will take whatever the percentage I'm provided with each column with the respective width will be taken. Whereas if it is 768 and below, all the devices below 768 pixel, this is your breakpoint. Wherever I have this column CSS property, column minus with respective to 1 and 12, for all the column, what is the default width size will be taken? It will take 100% and it will be fit on your screen. I'll show you the output. Each cell will be considered as each column. So if it is less than 768 and above, so till 768, less than that, each column will be taken as 100%. So after that, whatever the percentage of width I have provided with each column, it will be taken. You take from the header. So header, all these nav bar, the central section, whatever the content floating on the right, below to this footer block, everything will be taken with respective width size when it is 768 and above. Guys, are you with me? This is with respective to breakpoint. You got the idea behind this example? For 768 and below, it will take all the column with us 100%. Whichever the column, it will be auto fixed. Whereas 769 and above, it will take the respective width we have provided in a CSS property.
Ma'am,
Yes, Rusikesh.
what is the 82 lines class star is equal to column?
This is called as breakpoint. So how, instead of providing, so with respective to any, whatever the column CSS name I have provided, for all, it will take width of 100%. So CSS are one more breakpoint or one more property with respective to your media query. So let me modify with different breakpoint. Okay, we will come to this grid with various columns and this after some time. I think this example we can have it after some time, this breakpoint of various screen sizes with respective to column. But before that, I'm sure you have experienced with this simple background changing on various. I'll be sharing the second example. I want all of you to practice it. The only difference in the second example is by default, without any screen size, it will be taking float without any direction. Whereas if I take 680 and above, it will be floating my left side bar. Wherever I have the property left side bar will be floating on to left, and 1080 will be taking right, floating on right whenever if I have the minimum device of 1080 and above. So I'm sharing this demo, responsive demo 2.html. I want all of you to practice the same and ensure that whenever if you are changing the screen size, it is coming in left and right floating without of this 680 and above, 1080 and above, less than 680, it is not floating on anywhere on your web page. Will you able to do this demo right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Please do it. And we will come to column and this various breakpoint after some time. So I will share this responsive demo 1 and 2. I'm sharing it on your Mentor Notes channel. Please practice the same. So I'm keeping this different media query with breakpoint on column on hold. So after I introduced with grid on various column sizes, so then we will continue with the same example. Complete this media query, then we'll get into the next topic, which is flexible image. Another way of achieving responsive web designers with the help of flexible image. So let's discuss on it.